Alright, so the first video on my channel here is going to be why I think you should avoid AJ Dillon in 2021 and beyond. In 2020, the Green Bay offense was pretty great. They were the number one scoring offense in the league, scoring 31.8 points per game. Aaron Jones was running back 5 on the year, averaging 18.5 points per game. And their offensive line had the number 2 run blocking rate in the entire league. So when you add that all up, you're going to have a elite fantasy running back, and I think that's what people are banking on for this upcoming season with AJ Dillon. The Packers ended up having the lead third most in the league, so they were playing from a lead third most time, which allowed the running backs in their offense to succeed last year. And for that to continue, you need to have an elite team that's scoring points, that's playing ahead to be able to run the ball. The issue with that is in 2021, according to Spot Track, they're over $11 million this upcoming season in salary cap. Now, that really doesn't mean a lot because the teams can move money around pretty freely, convert things to bonuses and whatnot, and pull salary cap from the future year, or I think 3 years out, to add to that. But as a whole, the team has a lot of key free agents, including Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Corey Linsley, which was the number 1 rated center by PFF this season. Their left tackle, David Bakhtiari, tore his ACL in the playoffs. They're also losing their replacement tackle, Jared Veldheer, who came out of retirement to fill in during the playoff run. Now, you may be curious why that's significant, but obviously losing linemen is important for the running backs when you had the second best run blocking line in the league this season. But when you're losing defensive pieces, other teams might score more, so you're not going to have that freedom to run the ball as much as you have in the past. With AJ Dillon not being the world's best pass catcher, this may not be ideal for owners of him. In the most ideal situation, you would have Jamal Williams, which would actually boost his value, not to be a significant star or constant starter, but valuable depth to your team. Other questions I have coming up right now for the Packers are also just Aaron Rodgers himself. He doesn't seem dedicated to the team beyond this next season. There are reports that he wants a new deal to increase his salary. I don't know if I see that coming. Maybe that's why they're releasing players to free up some salary cap to actually extend him. You also have the issues of Devontae Adams. His contract expires after next season. Will he also be extended? When you consider all this, if they both leave, the situation becomes a lot less enticing to even have AJ Dillon. If Adams leaves or Rodgers, one or the other leaves, also that offense takes a huge step back, in my opinion. I feel like people are completely ignoring the fact that this offensive line going into the next season is going to be missing 3 key starters that help them be as good as they were. You have an all-pro left tackle. It's definitely going to, I would assume, miss the entire season just based on when he tore his ACL. You're losing your best lineman, the highest rated center in the league, in Linsley, and Rick Wagner was a solid starter as well. So, they can draft some players, but I wouldn't expect 3 rookies to come in and be studs. And if you're already over the cap, you're not going out to make significant moves for new starters and free agency either. There's a big awe that surrounds AJ Dillon himself because he's 6 foot, 250 pounds, and runs a 4.5, just like Derrick Henry. If you're not aware, Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers, was the offensive coordinator for Derrick Henry in his first breakout season. And ever since week 16, where Dillon had 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, I don't think people realize either that during that game, Jamal Williams was out, and at the beginning, Aaron Jones did get banged up. Aaron Jones himself had 100 yards on the ground, I think, as well in this game. When it comes to Dillon, it was impressive that he had 4 red zone carries and was able to convert 2 of them for touchdowns. But besides Week 16, he never showed flashes of being a significant player for the Packers last season. The most carries he had in one game was 5, and that happened on a few occasions. The thing that is important is in college he was a workhorse. He had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He never was injured, probably because he's huge. And he did show some receiving capabilities in limited work opportunities. And people just assume that Dillon's going to step into this Aaron Jones role, take over, and become a top 5, a top 10 running back. Looking at what Jones was able to do last season, he had 61.5% of the snaps, 200 carries, 65 targets, 44 red zone touches. He was number 5 in the league with a adjusted true yards per carry of 4.9. He averaged 5.9 yards per touch, and which was 4th in the league, and he had 324 yards created, which was 9th in the league. In other words, Aaron Jones is really good, and everyone just thinks that AJ Dillon is going to be the player that Aaron Jones is, and I can't disagree more with that. In the past month or so, his price has greatly inflated. I sent out a trade personally, Nick Chubb, and I think a second-round pick for him over a month ago, not even considering the line issues or really looking into it. I was kind of just following the hype and saw that Week 16 game firsthand, and I was like, oh, this guy's legit. And that got declined. The owner of Dillon is very high on him, and honestly, at this point, I'm actually thankful that he rejected it, because looking at what I would want for next season, I don't think Dillon would be the best choice, as you can tell from this video. He's probably worth a second-round pick, but his price has been inflated to a first-rounder, and in my opinion, for this upcoming draft, he wouldn't be worth that. And the real question is about all this is, can Dillon replicate the efficiency of Aaron Jones? Because Aaron Jones didn't have the largest workload like some other running backs in the league, and I don't think so. As a first-year full-time starter, we haven't seen him. They're losing, like we already talked about, significant linemen, which, that can make or break any running back. Without a good line, none of these guys are that good. Take a look at Zeke Elliott. For last season, even Gurley a couple of years ago, excluding his health issues, but you need a good line to be around him. Could I see him being a top 12 running back? Maybe, but I don't think it's likely. I can see him being a mid to low end running back too comfortably, just based on the volume he should get, especially if Williams and Jones leave. But this comes down to the constant battle where people argue over game scripts of teams, the quality of the team. So if this team becomes worse as a whole, which I think it will, that game script's not going to be favoring the run, and I would expect them to pass more. So honestly, I would be looking into renting Aaron Rodgers for a season. But if Rodgers leaves after the next season, I definitely don't want Dillon on my team. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out future videos on this channel. Let me know how this can be better, and my associated Instagram with the page, which will be linked on the profile and the description of this video itself.